What's up guys, Jeff from Sorta Healthy here, and today's video is pretty different. Today we'll primarily be covering three different things. We'll be going over why you have to raise your prices or get raises. We'll be going over how to raise your prices or get a raise. And then lastly, we'll be going over some of my personal plans for Sorta Healthy Trainer Education. So then, why do you need to get paid more? Well, the answer is inflation, which is a general increase in prices and fall in the purchasing value of money. So basically every year as time goes forward, your money becomes less valuable. Therefore, if you're not making a little bit more money each year, you're actually losing money. To elaborate just a tiny bit more on that, food prices rose 2.7% between December 2022 and December 2023, according to the most recent Consumer Price Index from the report of Bureau of Labor Statistics. And this is in the United States, by the way. By comparison, prices rose 10.4% over the previous one-year period in 2022. So inflation was actually worse from 2021 into 2022 than it was from 2022 into December of 2023. So ultimately you have to get raises or increase your prices on a regular basis. And this is an important thing to keep in mind. Raises oftentimes don't actually increase your standard of living, they just maintain it. So you getting that modest raise every year or two, well, it's not going to make you rich, but it is going to help you maintain that standard of living. Before we break down how to get a raise or increase your prices as a personal trainer, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Both of those things really do help to support us, and this channel is a free resource for all fitness professionals. Thank you so much for that, guys. Back to the rest of the video. So then, how do you get a raise? Before I answer that, I do want to acknowledge that in my last video, training in 2024, there was a few people that said blank gym, whatever commercial gym, you could insert any of them here, isn't going to give me a raise, LOL, or something along those lines. And I'm just going to be honest with you guys, that is a potentially dangerous mindset to be in. I think we all know that most of these commercial gyms are not ideal places to work, at least in the long term. That said, if you are doing a good job, typically they will give you raises every year or every other year at the very least. And if you said something like this in my last video, know that I still love you. And really I'm only bringing this up again because I don't want any gyms to take advantage of you guys, and unfortunately some of them probably will. Anyways, to get a raise, you have to have value. So that means you will have to be selling a decent amount of personal training on a regular basis, because let's be honest, if you're not selling a decent amount of personal training on a regular basis, well, you don't get to work. That is part of the job. The same thing is true for retaining clients. Of course, you're not going to retain all clients, but for you to have value, of course, your retention rate is going to have to be pretty good. You should also be completing some CECs, continuing education courses, on a regular basis. And of course, just being a reliable, good employee is huge. If you've done all of that and have been with the company for a while, 6+ months, it's time to have the conversation with your supervisor. And there's a lot of ways that supervisor or manager conversation could go. I once had a trainer who was my employee, and he had been working in my studio for 8 to 9 months. He started out as an okay at best trainer initially, but I knew he had a ton of potential, so I was happy to work with him as he improved. In 8 to 9 months, he got way better at working with many different types of clients. He got an additional certification, and he covered a few shifts when we really needed the help. Not that many clients liked him initially, but pretty much all of them did later on. So after about 8 to 9 months, he said something like, "I feel like I've been working really hard and getting better. I want to take on more responsibility here, and I would really appreciate a raise if possible too." Of course, I said yes to him because he'd been doing really well, and I found out that he was struggling a bit financially, like many of us do early into training, and we worked it all out. The point here is, if you're doing everything right, or basically these types of things, and then you ask in a respectful way, usually you'll get that pay bump. Now, if you're doing all those previous things and you're still not getting a raise, you do need to find a new job. They don't value you. Now, what if you work for yourself or run your own business? How do you increase your prices? So in my opinion, this is actually easier, and this slide here might be a little bit misleading because increasing your prices, even if you work for yourself, is still never really all that easy of a thing. We do end up spending a ton of time with our clients, and 99% of the time, we want to be as fair and good to them as we can be. Which brings us to the things you should do when going to increase your prices. You always want to be doing a few things to improve your business every year. For example, in my studio in 2023, we redid all the floors, making the studio look and feel a lot nicer, and we also added a few new pieces of equipment. Now, if you don't have a studio, there's still other ways you can improve your business every year, maybe even just you completing a continuing education course and then adding in some of those new skills and knowledge to your training sessions. At the end of the day, there's a ton of ways in which you could go about doing this, regardless of what type of training you do. When it comes to increasing your price, prices, of course, you do want to do small increases. So $1 to $3 per session every 1 to 2 years. That is the general increase that you're going to want to do. Of course, there are some exceptions, but usually this is going to be the right amount. This one always seems really obvious to me, but I think a lot of trainers actually don't do this. So yeah, you do want to tell clients before you charge them the new amount. We're going to go into more detail on that in a sec. And then this last one goes without saying, you do want to be respectful. But then again, when do you not want to be respectful? Yeah, still important. Be respectful. So this is an example of what you might say to a client leading up to a price increase. Hey, blank, you have 4 sessions left in your current package. Right off the bat, this is good because you're letting your client know about the price increase a few weeks before it happens. I just wanted to let you know ahead of time that our prices are going up by $1 on March 1st to adjust for everything changing. I just wanted you to know so you can decide what works best for you in regards to renewal and payment. Now, of course, there's nothing magical about what I just said there. Put something like that into your own words, change it as you see fit. But yeah, you should be saying something like that to your clients when going to increase your prices. And the good news here is that very few, if any, clients will leave if you handle things this way. And if someone does leave after you've done all of these things, understand that they were going to leave either way. Be respectful and let them go. Your price is your price. They may come back at some point, or someone else will come along and take their place on your schedule. Do not haggle. You can explain why you're increasing your prices if you think it will help, which you are increasing your prices because your operating cost is going up, but that explanation likely won't be necessary or matter too much anyways. I've raised my prices a handful of times, and every time it felt like I was going to lose a few clients, but I never have, and that's because I follow these 4 things right here. And I think it's important to remember that this is something you do have to do. Eventually, you will actually have no choice. And again, we've already stated why that is the case. The cost of everything goes up, so your cost has to go up as well. And if you've made it this far into the video, I really appreciate it. So now we're going to be going into Sorta Healthy Trainer Education plans in 2024, and actually even a little bit beyond that as well. So I still want to do videos on what it's like working as a trainer in a major gym franchise in 2024. There's no doubt that many companies are taking advantage of their employees when it comes to pay, and that's how my plans tie into all of the stuff that we were talking about before. So if you work in a major gym franchise and you want to be in a video, let me know down below in the comments. You can stay anonymous or you can appear in the video, and if you are willing to appear in the video, I'll link your socials. I'm sure it would be a good way to gain some followers on any of these platforms, and you'd be helping out some fellow trainers, which is always a good thing. By the way, guys, we just hit 50,000 subscribers on this channel, which is insane to me. I really appreciate all of you and am super grateful for your support. I love that for many of you, I get to be the one to help keep you informed on what's happening in the personal training world. Unfortunately, this YouTube gig isn't all rainbows and butterflies though. There are definitely some downsides, some of which I broke down in this video a few months ago. So this chart here represents the earnings on my YouTube channel, and I get it, it's a little bit hard to understand, but these are my earnings in January of last year, and you can kind of see they're pretty steady, slowly going up. This is where I got hit with the invalid traffic bug, which again, I talked about that in this video a few months ago. After that, things returned pretty much to normal. And at the beginning of this year, unfortunately, it's looking like I was hit a second time. I did get the invalid traffic banner and everything like I got this first time right here. So for this time span of 2 to 3 months, I was making about 70 to 80% less revenue on YouTube. After being hit with this a second time, you can already see my YouTube revenue starting to dip a little bit. It's not quite as bad as it was last time, but I'm sure it's going to continue to stay pretty far down there for the next few months. Now, luckily for me, my studio is my actual source of revenue. YouTube is really just more of a side gig that I'm passionate about. That said, even though by trainer standards I am pretty successful, I am no Alex Hormozi. At 33 years old, the peak of my career, I'm not in a position where I can be doing a ton of work, basically for free, which is what this ends up being right here. Even in these months, I wasn't making that much money on YouTube. My hourly rate as a trainer is way higher, but it was enough, along with my passion, to justify the grind, to keep moving forward, and to keep putting out helpful content. There's a few reasons why I bring all this up. One, I try to keep my YouTube life as transparent as possible. And two, I think there's there's a valuable lesson to be learned here. If any of you watching were getting screwed on pay by an employer like I am, unfortunately, there's a few things that I would want you to do for yourself. Mainly, I'd want you to have a plan on how you were going to improve your situation and get fair pay for yourself. So that brings me to my plan. I still want to put 1 to 2 trainer education videos out a month. Though I'm not gonna lie, it might be closer to 1 video a month for a little while, which we'll get into the reasons for that soon. I still wanna upload once a month to my new channel, Sorta Healthy Lifestyle. I wanna get better at and do more short form stuff. I have been posting on a semi-regular basis on Instagram and TikTok, so I wanna continue doing that. And then a really big one for the next few months, maybe even a little bit longer than that, I wanna write a personal training business book. So a few years ago, I did a video on how to start a personal training business, and I still think that's a really good video. It still holds up well in 2024, and I'm sure that's going to be the case going forward too. As useful as that video is, there were certainly details on starting a personal training business that I had to leave out. I could definitely flesh things out more in a book. Obviously, I'm biased, but my wife Alexis is one of the best nutrition coaches I've ever seen. She's actually writing a book on nutrition coaching, so that's also going to be coming out in the next 3 to 6 months, and I think that's going to be a really good one for a lot of you as well. So hopefully once I have some books out there that will be of extra value to all of you, you'll consider buying a copy. They will be useful and affordable, that much I can guarantee. I've been planning on writing this book for a while. I was going to do it in a few years, but these crazy swings on YouTube that I have no control over have made me realize that this isn't something I should wait on. A few of you have offered in the past, and I really do appreciate it, but I don't want any donations on Patreon or anything like that. I would rather you take that money and invest it into your own careers. When I have something of value, and I will make sure it's valuable, I'll do a follow-up video to this one to let all of you know. Like I said, I'll still be uploading videos on here, my other channel, and my other socials as well. I just might be doing a little bit less of that for a while. I'm sure writing a whole book will be time-consuming, but at least it will be something of value that I have some control over. We all have to do what's best for our careers. That's what this video is about, and I have to do that same thing as well. Thanks again for the support, everyone. I love all of you, and like I said, I'll be back soon.